Family Story Feeder. Today's story is from Africa. It is called When the Drum Sang.
One day, a little girl named Selene went down to the river to fetch water. Dip after dip, she worked to fill her huge gourd calabash, and as she dipped, she sang. And the song was so beautiful that all of the animals around her, even the crocodile and the giraffe and the reeds, all stopped whatever they were doing and listened to the little girl sing. In the tall grass, not far from her, a man with a drum sat and listened too. Now, if he had been a good man, he would have listened quietly and then gone away. But he was not a good man, but a very bad Zimwe. And so a bad idea came into his head. And just as Selene had almost filled her calabash with water, the man sneaked up behind her as she sang and thrust her into his drum, which was bigger than she was. And before she could cry out, the man said to her,
Little girl, you sing very well, but listen to me. If I beat the drum, you must sing. As well and as long as you can, and if you do not sing, I will beat you instead of my drum.
Oh, Selene was so frightened, and so she told him that she would do what he said. So the man took his big drum with the little girl inside and went away. For weeks and weeks with his drum, Selene inside, he wandered through hills and through plains. When he came to a village some miles away, it was nearly evening, and he stopped by the village and asked if he might spend the night. The chief answered, "Yes, you may." And so the man said,
I wish to play my singing drum for you to thank you for your hospitality. You're gonna like it. It's beautiful.
the drum, and Selene began to sing. And she sang and sang, and all of the villagers listened happily to the beautiful music.
Sing. Sing, oh beautiful drum. Stop! I'm hungry. I want food.
The villagers went to their gardens and filled their baskets with all the good things they could find to eat. There were big golden pumpkins and fat yams and red beans and bananas, and these they cooked and brought to the man along with fresh goat's milk and sweet honey beer. He ate and ate and drank until all the good things were gone.
More food for me. Sing.
Selene began to sing, and she sang lullabies and did not stop until all of the villagers were nodding their heads sleepily. Then when everyone had gone to bed, the man opened up the top of the drum and gave the little girl one small cold bean. That was all that was left of his big dinner, even though she was so hungry after so much singing. When Selene had not returned to her village, her mother and father had gone to the river to look for her, and not a sign of her did they see, except her big calabash nearly filled with water. Along the river's edge, a crocodile blinked at them, and they asked him if he had eaten their little girl. But he shook his head, and he waddled away. A giraffe was munching on leaves, and they called to him, "Oh, Giraffe, have you seen our little girl?" But the giraffe shook his head and went on eating. For weeks and weeks, Elaine's mother and father wandered, always asking for their little girl, but no one had seen or heard of her. Oh, they grew dusty and ragged from their journeying from forest to plain, from village to village, but their little girl was not to be found. One evening, tired and hungry, they stopped at a village and asked to spend the night. The chief welcomed them and told them that there was another stranger staying in the village that night, but there was still room for more. The other stranger was the man with the drum that sang. He beat the drum and it begun to sing. Selene, hidden inside, sang songs about the beautiful things, about the gentle bleating of newborn kids, and about blue mountains reaching for the sky, because she was sure she would never see these things again, except one. No sooner had Selene begun to sing when her mother, sitting close to the drummer, started to cry out, for she recognized the voice of her dear little girl. Oh, she said nothing when the father said to be quiet.
I'm thirsty, hungry.
When the singing was done, for at last the man said he could play no longer unless he was fed, all of the people brought him the best foods they had, and he ate and ate and ate.
Food for the singing drum. Food for me and the drum.
He cried out when he had eaten enough for 10 men, and then the people brought him calabashes and ostrich eggs of sweet honey bear, and he drank, while Selene's father sat near him and flattered him about his wonderful drum and urged him to eat and drink more.
More food.
At last, when he had drunk enough for 20 men, he gave a great yawn. And then he went to sleep. Selene's parents only pretended to sleep. When they were sure that everyone was asleep, and the drummer was snoring louder than a lion, they crept up to him quietly. They opened the drum and they peeped inside. Well, there was their little girl, small, thin, frightened, and so lonely. Come out, come out. Then her father took a little stick with fire on it and crept out into the forest. Near an old tree, he held a stick of fire, and after a moment, bees came out of a hole in the tree, for they did not like the smoke from the man's fire. As they swarmed around, not knowing where to go, the man put the stick close to them, and they flew ahead of him to escape the smoke. In this way, he drove them on ahead of him and right back to the village of sleeping people, and up to the man's empty drum, and seeing that nice hole in the drum, they went inside. And the father looked, making sure the bees were in the drum, and smiled. Morning came, and when everyone awoke, they begged the man to play his drum again. No one noticed the strange little girl who was there, for they talked of nothing but the beautiful songs of the drum. The man agreed. One little song, that was all.
One song, and that's all, and I must eat as
He beat the drum, but nothing happened.
Magic drum.
Angrily, he beat the drum
Come on
again.
and sing, sing, old drum, sing.
Nothing happened. And a few people began to laugh at him. Again and again he beat the drum.
Sing, old drum, sing, old magic drum.
Nothing at all.
I'll get you for that. I'll get you for that. You come out of there.
So saying, he tore off the drums to beat Selene, but oh my, out came the bees. Oh, they flew after that man and they chased him away, and no one ever saw or heard of him again. As for Selene, she sang a beautiful, happy song for the people before they went back to their gardens to work. And so everyone gave her good things to eat, and she was so hungry after being in that drum for so long, and a pretty necklace besides. And they all wished her safe journey home. Well, then she and her mother and her father began their journey home.